What is that? What is that?
Have you guys ever watched a movie so bland, so devoid of charm, and just about anything that makes a movie worth watching? For me, that was Man of Steel. I also watched The Flash. And it's not good. It's a messy, tonally inconsistent LSD trip of a movie, yet I don't hate it. It shares a lot of the same problems the other Snyderverse movies have. I think what really drags down the movie for a bunch of people is the time it came out and the public perception of Ezra Miller. You see, this movie released smack dab in the middle of people having superhero fatigue. Plus, the fact that that entire cinematic universe is basically in limbo because James Gunn took over and is starting from scratch. So, yeah, I guarantee if it came out 10 years ago when it was expected to, people would probably enjoy it a bit more. It's not peak cinema, but it's also not the worst thing DC has ever made. I'll probably cover that one day. So the story attempts to adapt the Flashpoint storyline, since that seems to be the only narrative people want to tell with this character. It's about Barry wanting to get justice for his father after he was wrongly accused of murdering his mother. After being frustrated about the lack of any significant evidence, Barry decides to run back in time to prevent these events from happening. However, by doing so, he screws up the timeline, causing extreme ramifications for not only himself, but the people in his life as well. That's the plot of the film in a nutshell. Ezra Miller isn't that great of an actor in my opinion, and their Barry has always been my least favorite part of the Snyderverse films. I think that the character is insufferable and a poor excuse for comedic relief in movies that lack it severely. However, for some reason Barry works in this film a bit more for me, partly because he's paired with a more annoying and inexperienced version of himself, so by contrast he's a better character. He's forced to be the straight man in a lot of these scenarios, and I think that makes him a much more tolerable character that way. Hey, listen, I'm you from the future. You can tell by my very slight changes. Now listen, in a few minutes. No, I'm not doing a f***ing time travel skit today, okay? I don't have the budget. Alright, so just go back to where you came from and cut the hair back off. You look like f***ing Tarzan. When the movie attempts to have emotional moments, it turns out alright. Sometimes. Like, I enjoyed the scenes between Bruce and Barry early on in the movie. You really get a sense of their camaraderie, and it's really nice seeing their mentor-student relationship continue, especially since that seems to be the most consistent thing throughout these movies, outside of Ben Affleck always looking like he didn't want to be there. I really buy these characters and their relationship to each other. What I don't buy is this fucking costume. Why does this look like a kickball? Another really big point of contention for a lot of people was the CGI, and yeah, it's not good at all. It's really rubbery at points and just poorly composited, especially in the final battle sequence. Everything's like so flat that it looks just jarring. Whenever this movie chooses to embrace the weirdness of it all, it turns out a lot better. Like, you can look at the Speed Force scenes. Sure, yeah, none of that looks real, but it looks visually interesting and is honestly a really cool way to interpret time and going through it. I guess I'm saying that I like the concepts and ideas of these sequences more so than I like the actual scenes themselves. Somewhere deep down inside this 2-hour mess of a film, there's a good movie there. I enjoyed the fact that we got to see Michael Keaton again as Batman, even though it feels soulless. Same thing with seeing Supergirl in a Flash movie. Same thing with seeing Zod in a Flash movie. Zod and Supergirl had no place here in my opinion. Like, they would have been better off being cut from this film altogether. I'm not even sure Michael Shannon knew what movie he was in half the time. There was just way too much when this movie's played. It has to not only tie up the Snyderverse as a whole because it's over after this, but also it tries to tell a complete story with Barry and have him go through a character arc, which it barely succeeds to even get that far. At the final scene in the grocery store with Barry and his mom is a good scene. It's acted well, I can totally understand where the emotions are coming from, but it's surrounded by a film with so many weird and bizarre choices that it just bogs it down. Like, it doesn't hit as strong as it could. And that really sucks, especially when you think that at some point during production, or maybe even the scriptwriting phase, like, they wanted to make something here. They wanted to tell a story about choices, yet it can't shake off the fact that it has to be a multiverse movie. It has to have cameos from actors that haven't played these characters in 20 plus years, just for the chance that people might feel nostalgic and go see this. It didn't work. this doesn't work anymore. You can say whatever you want to about The Flash, but it's a turning point for not only DC, but superhero films in general. It shows that the audiences are getting tired of these movies that lack substance, that lack any form of clear direction. I don't know what the future of DC looks like. Superman Legacy seems like it might be fine with James Gunn being at the helm, but you never really know. So yeah, Well guys, I think I just caused Armageddon.